The man who came home was not my husband. Being blind didn't stop me from sensing it. The presence standing in front of me belonged to a stranger. The smell, the voice, the touch, they were all wrong. I knew it immediately. Something really bad had happened, and I couldn't do a thing about it. Phones were dead, neighbors too far away to hear a scream. I was trapped in my own house with an intruder pretending to be my husband. I was born blind, but I was still fortunate enough to find a man who didn't just love me, he became my eyes. Through him, I learned to navigate a world I would never see. Everything felt like a dream. In my endless darkness, he was the one who brought color into my life. That morning had begun like any other. The house was quiet, peaceful in that familiar way I'd come to rely on. We lived on a stretch of land so wide that our closest neighbor was a quarter-mile away. The distance added to the stillness that made everything feel safe. I could feel the warmth of the sun against my skin and hear the soft, distant chirping of the birds outside. My husband was humming softly as he prepared breakfast. The rich smell of coffee drifted through the air. I heard his voice call out to me, soft and familiar. "I'm heading out to the grocery store, honey." I heard the lock click. I listened to his footsteps fade into the distance. The house settled into complete silence after that, but the quiet didn't feel right. Hours passed, and then the door opened. At first, I thought he was back. The scent hit me first. This was not my husband. The footsteps were gentle, careful, as if trying to conceal themselves. But to anyone truly listening, they were impossible to ignore. "Who's there?" I called out. A heavy silence swallowed the room, dense and oppressive, like he was deciding what to do with me. When he realized I couldn't see, he finally spoke, his voice soft and kind, mimicking the tones I knew. "I'm home, honey." A cold shiver ran down my spine, crawling along my bones like ice. I knew it immediately. This was not my husband. My heart froze. I didn't say a word. One wrong question, one wrong glance, and I would be dead. I whispered a question about the groceries. "Did you get the carrots like I asked?" He replied casually, "Oops, I forgot about those, but I'll pick them up tomorrow." We both hated carrots. I smiled softly, pretending everything was fine, while the fear tightened around me like a noose. I moved through the house carefully, pretending everything was normal, but every sound he made, every subtle movement, I was tracking, reading him through the creak of the floorboards, the shift of his weight, the breath in his voice. Each one told me exactly where he was and what he was thinking. The chair scraped across the floor at odd angles, and the subtle echo of footsteps didn't match the rhythm I knew. Small things, meaningless to anyone else, but deafening to me. I realized he was also studying me, seeing how much I knew, testing my limits. I wanted to call for help, to run, to scream, but the phones were dead, the world outside unreachable. Every room I passed, every corner I turned, I imagined him lurking, ready to strike if I showed even the slightest sign of suspicion. Hours stretched into endless, aching days. Days dragged on like a slow, merciless eternity, each one heavier than the last, filled with a suffocating silence and a fear that never lets go. Living here has become unbearable. There is a putrid smell coming from the basement, Sometimes he locks me in there when I've done something wrong. I can hear the sickening crawl of rats, the relentless buzzing of flies, the wet, chewing sounds that make my stomach twist and my blood run cold. Sometimes I wonder if it's my husband in there, the man who once protected me, reduced to a rotting corpse. By the time he lets me out, I am no longer the person he threw in. Each time I leave behind pieces of my sanity, shattered and decayed. But the worst part came at night, when he slept with me. Just thinking about it makes my skin crawl. The things he says, the things he does to me. Only a monster is capable of that. He doesn't even try to hide it. He knows I know the truth. And that's what makes it worse. He knows how helpless I am. He knows I'm putting on an act, behaving like everything is normal, while quietly suffocating inside. And he loves that. To him, it's all just a sick, twisted game, pretending to be a man he has already killed, and having me play along, acting like he was still my husband, while we both knew the truth. I've lost all sense of time. I don't even know what day it is anymore. I had completely given up on the hope of ever being free, until one afternoon, I heard the car pull up in the driveway. My heart pounded violently in my chest, not with relief, but with a growing sense of dread. It was my father. He had come to check on us after the calls and messages went unanswered. He rang the doorbell again and again. I could hear the unease and growing edge of worry in every press. He called out for me from outside before he used his spare key to enter. I felt the intruder tense up, his body suddenly alert, waiting to see if I would expose the truth. His hand tightened around my wrist like a warning. My father's voice called out again. "Anyone home? I'm coming in." There was a brief, dead stillness after that, before my father's voice cut through the silence, cautious, uncertain. What, what are you doing here?" Almost as if he recognized the monster standing before him. Not a moment later, a single sharp gunshot echoed through the house. And after that, there was nothing. Just the oppressive, suffocating silence that swallowed the room entirely. I finally let out a scream and felt a hard fist collide with my stomach. The pain stole my breath, and I vomited instantly. He stood over me, his voice low and menacing. "If you scream like that again, you'll be joining him." He wasn't pretending anymore. For the first time, he let his true voice slip. It carried a familiarity that sent shivers through me, but I couldn't place it, as if memory had been twisted just out of reach. He never let it slip again. "If you want to live, just do as I say," he whispered. I felt the gun press into the back of my skull. He forced me to call friends and relatives, keeping my voice calm and steady as if everything was normal. He made me call my husband's workplace too, lying through my teeth. "He's been diagnosed with an illness," I said, my voice shaking inside. "He's moving to a different state for treatment." He tried to tie up the loose ends on my father too, but I told him there was no one left alive who would be looking for us. I lied. "I have a brother. Although estranged, there might be a day he comes looking for us. As for me, I don't know how long it's been since I've been captive. He ties me up and leaves whenever he pleases, returning whenever he chooses. Like a shadow that claims both this house and my life. Sometimes I catch faint signs of breathing from someone else in the room. Someone sharper, more cautious, who moves like a ghost, barefoot, silent, inconspicuous. I hadn't sensed it before. All my attention had been on the one standing in front of me. I know you, don't I said, directing it towards the silent one in the room. That's why you stay hidden, I added. I was met with nothing but silence. They have since put headphones over my ears, drowning the world in a steady, cheery tune that eats away at what's left of my sanity. My mouth stays taped, except when I'm being fed. And I spend every waking moment thinking, planning, imagining a way to escape. But each time I try, the fear grips around me even tighter, reminding me how powerless I truly am. And the part that haunts me most are my father's last words. Who did he see? The thought claws at me. Why am I being kept alive like this? One thing is for certain though, the monsters responsible for all of this are people that I know, and that truth is worse than anything they could do to me.